Alright, good morning. Quick video today on some more ash wood. And I'm going to split the wood. I got the big Mueller here. But I kind of want to talk about just the tree itself and what's going on with it. It's pretty common knowledge in tree people circles. The Asian emerald ash borer is killing the North American ash trees. I don't know if they're doing that to the European ones. I would say that the way the global economy is functioning, if they are susceptible to those insects, then they will eventually be destroyed as well. I don't know if the species will remain as just a stunted species, like the bugs only get them if they're a certain size. That's kind of what North America, we had the black locust tree, and the black locust tree just doesn't get that big because it is chewed on substantially by the locust borer beetle, which is native, and so it kind of keeps the locust tree in check. And maybe that's good because the locust trees are just so aggressive in their growth that they would take over. Yeah. Odd, not there. So locust trees don't get very big. Now that's bad for people because locust wood is the most useful wood. But trees don't get that big. So will the ash remain, but only live to be, 10 or 20 years old before the bugs that are around swing back by and get those? I think the ash borer has been in North America for a number of years. It's only really hit in my area in the Mid-South. And so all the mature ash trees are dying, but like I've got 20 that are 5 or 6 years old out here because I let them grow in some places. So is that wood that the ash borer will destroy, or is that not choice enough? And so the ash borer will eat itself out of ash trees. With no mature ash trees remaining, then it will die, or will it live off the young ones and just feast on those? I don't know the answers to any of these things. It's just, I'm kind of a tree dork, and so I think about this stuff, especially when it comes to trees that I am particularly fond of or I find particularly useful. I mean, if I was a sawmill guy, and maybe this is a recommendation to you sawmill guys out there, I would get my hands on every ash log that I could and cut it into 3-inch boards so that when Louisville Slugger says, hey, where'd all the ash trees go? I can be sitting around counting my money with my cigar, selling them ash wood after they've all gone away. I don't smoke cigars, but you know what I mean. I do not promote smoking of cigars. But I just am kind of curious if it's going to go away, or if it's going to be a stunted species ever maligned by the emerald ash borers that we now have. I hope that that's the case, so that maybe one day we can find a solution and the small stunted malign ones can then become mature again. Probably unlikely. The way things go, we're just going to pretty much lose them. Kind of what surrounded, the cause of it is globalized economy, having stuff made overseas because it's cheaper for the business owner to build a factory and pay those workers than it is to retain that manufacturing here and pay the workers here, which would demand a higher salary. So instead of one person being rich or making lots of money and employing people here, they make lots more money than the same person or few persons. Could be a board of directors or whatever. Employ no one here, and despite the cost of shipping the fuel that uses, send it all overseas to be made, and then that overseas trade brings back certain pests because no one regulates what's in the box. It's just impossible to do. A little bit of a soapbox there. Typically don't get too political or anything, but that's the cause of it. As I swing a European axe made in Austria, sold in Alabama with a piece of hickory that was probably grown, in Tennessee or Kentucky, shipped to Europe, assembled in Europe, made in Europe, shipped back. But I don't have a tractor with parts from all over. I don't have a log splitter made in another place. No hydraulic splitter. I don't have those storage crates full of wood. I don't have a sword. I don't have a track hoe with a bucket on it. I don't have a conveyor belt. I do have a trailer. It's not a dump trailer. I bought used. I got a shoulder that hurts every once in a while. My lower back kind of hurts. I got some axes. I do have a couple of chainsaws. So I guess I'm guilty of some of that, but also I try to impact try to do a little low impact situation here. I mean, I don't have a big truck that I bought for hauling firewood. I do have an old truck that was going to go probably to the scrapyard because it needed a bunch of repairs. I decided it was worth half a season of firewood money to repair it so that it would, you know, maybe get me another season or two without needing too much more. I'm not trying to say other firewood goons on YouTube are doing it wrong. I guess there's conventional ways. There's, I would consider mine a much more slow way, because I don't have any power equipment aside from a pickup and a chainsaw. Everything else is done with the axe. But I also do this just for hobby and exercise. Not really. I mean, I do sell some, but I don't have a big production. It might look like it from here. There's a lot of wood. I don't think, compared to, you know, all my neighbors, I got a lot. I don't think I've got a lot compared to people who do it for a living. We got about 3 50-foot double stacked rows. But one of them is seasoned, so that's going. This is to replace that stuff. Yeah, we're losing the ash tree. I guess we can go ahead and say we've lost the ash tree because of globalized economy. Isn't that something? Why pay 20 bucks for it when I get it for 12? Well, maybe because I pay 20 bucks for it, it can employ the guy down the street to make it versus somebody far away. That's why. That's why you paid more. And unfortunately, it took 2 generations of Americans to realize what was going down. You know, the baby boomers really started clamoring for buy American. Buy that foreign stuff, buy American. Well, I'm not picking on any group of people or anything, but there's a knot right here. The reason why so much stuff is being made elsewhere is because people didn't want to spend that money. Why buy a $5 screwdriver when I can get 5 for $5? And you know, your personal economics plays a part to some degree, but you know, there's plenty of people who have lots of money in the bank who are miser level cheap when it comes to household goods, food, stuff like that. I mean, I didn't need this axe when I bought it. I damn sure didn't need to pay the money I paid for it compared to what I've got, but it's my thing, it's my hobby. And I didn't want to pay for another one of these. It's got its place. But the interesting irony to me is how so many people say things like buy American, but they don't do it. Or everything, you know. I love it when guys talk on YouTube about the price of something. The price is so relative. You know, someone might say, well, that axe is not worth that. Or someone might say, this axe is worth this much. I mean, to some people it may be, but that doesn't mean that it's, you know, it's not a chiseled in stone kind of a thing. Something's value or its worth is so much more than the price tag or the opinions. You know, some might say, well, the market will tell you the value. It will tell you the value within a demographic or a select group of people. But you know, it's like just because someone's on TV or makes music and lots of people buy their stuff doesn't mean that I have any interest or value in that entertainer or their skills or how they entertain. And so I would consider that a low value thing. But a lot of people would fall on the ground and weep tears of joy to see that person play or meet that person. So what's the value? Well, I see the value, and let's talk about COVID real quick too. This is all so related, even though it seems like I'm all over the place. It's extremely related. This is not conspiracy, okay? This is not, it's really not even political. It's just these are facts. Talk about COVID for a minute. And I don't mean, was COVID real? You know, was it manufactured? I don't know. Is it legitimate? None of that stuff. Let's just talk about what it did to the car economy, automobile economy. The chips that were made for the automobiles became harder to find. And not just for this company or that company, but for all the companies. Because they were made far away. Okay, well, if everything wasn't, if the people who own these big companies who make all this stuff, in this case, car manufacturers, weren't driven so hardly by their bottom line, like if I can make $2 million, if I can make $2.1 million, I'm going to do the $2.1 million no matter what, you know, that kind of stuff. That's kind of the corporate board of directors mentality thing. But if they weren't driven to maximize profit so much, then they could be more selective about where some of this stuff was made. And we would never have run into the whole chip shortage if car company A manufactured cars in, let's say, how about Kentucky? Let's say they make cars in Kentucky. And I don't mean they make part of cars, but they make every single thing in the state of Kentucky. Including the electronics and the computer and everything. Well, unless something happens to Kentucky, their place in Kentucky, then the global economy cannot hamstring them as much as it did during COVID. Now, there may be some materials, you know, I'm being very general to kind of prove my point, and I am the furthest thing from a economic, business-minded individual. I mean, I bought another axe when I didn't need to, when I bought this one. So, but you know, there may be some materials that they can't find for the Kentucky plant right away. But if there's trouble in one place in the world, or trouble getting materials from a place, you know, the world's a big place. They can probably find that stuff somewhere else. May have to pay a little more. Whoa. Well, those business owners are really good at pushing that cost down, so I think they would live. But if your stuff is over there and something happens, then we have the chip crisis. It's all because of the global economy thing. And the thing that I don't, you know, why is it so much cheaper to make stuff other places? Because they can pay their workers less or nothing or whatever. I think that's more of a interesting dynamic. So I don't think manufacturing jobs are overpaid. Now sometimes there's some groups that get involved and make it harder to do stuff. I'm not a big fan of unions because I feel like workers have protection from certain things, but you know, sometimes you do need to say, now hang on a minute, this ain't right. We need better this or that. So I think there's a place for it all. Either way, we're gonna lose the ash tree because some knucklehead board of directors said, hey, we can make a widget 1.78% cheaper if we make it overseas than if we make it here. Let's ship it all over there, and we won't even regulate what we bring back. I don't care what's in the box. And the box is full of emerald ash borers. And we lose one of the biggest, beautiful trees native to our hardwoods. So, yeah, think about that when you, this is all a wood cutting lesson. Think about that when you get into your wood cutting. Do you really need all that extra stuff? Maybe you do. Maybe you could just get by with an axe or two or three. I'm just opening this guy up a little bit. But soon, ash firewood will be no more, just like manufacturing jobs in certain places. One might say it's a good allegory. I don't know if I'm using that one right. Whatever, just having fun out here. Splitting wood and talking about it without any real rules on YouTube, because that's what you can do on the YouTubes. This is how they made matches for a long time. But I got tired of picking them up. Nice and clean. And my message is not don't buy things that are part of the global economy. because everything is, whatever you're watching this on, for my tens of viewers, you wouldn't have it if it wasn't for the global economy. But I think my tale of caution here is for the places that we all shop at, work for. You know, I'm fortunate enough to work for a small business where the owners do not try to maximize every single dollar that they make. You know, the owner could say, our goal is to make 35% profit or 25%, whatever it is, and we're not going to spend a single dollar on a single thing that isn't related to increasing that number or filling our pockets. And there's lots of places that are like that. And I've worked for places like that and people who run their business like that. Capitalism. Right? Well, sometimes that can kind of bite us with consequences we're just not quite aware of. All right, that's enough of that. I got a little political this morning. It is mostly in lightheartedness, but I do feel a bit remorseful today. I'm splitting this beautiful ash wood into firewood, and I'm getting as much of it as I can now, because in a couple of years I won't be able to anymore. All right, later.